Welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news on what is already a very exciting day. But also the prospect of Paul Pogba signing a new contract at Manchester United just adds to the excitement of this day. And it's significant. I think it's significant. Look, I've been doing this for a very long time. And people do turn their nose up at certain outlets when they say things. But what I would say is that whilst those outlets may not be the most credible, sometimes the journalists that write on there certainly have a bit of a history. Now, it's Neil Custis in The Sun who is saying that Manchester United are close to signing a deal or confident of signing a 5-year deal with Paul Pogba, and they hope to announce it by the end of this season, which is the end of this month. Now, straight away, people are going to say, well, that's The Sun. But I can tell you now, and people who've been watching this channel for a few years, whatever you think about The Sun, Neil Custis has been a Manchester United correspondent for quite a while, a number of years. And while some of his opinions may be controversial, and whilst he obviously does work for an outlet that isn't well liked, he has released information that's been accurate about Manchester United before. The Lukaku transfer, Rooney leaving Manchester United, who's going to be the captain, issues in the dressing room under Jose Mourinho. Got a lot of stick for it at the time, but was proved to be right. So if he is saying that Manchester United are close to signing a 5-year deal for Paul Pogba, then look, it only feeds in what I was talking about however many weeks ago I did the video. Was it 2 weeks? My information on Paul Pogba has always been very good from the club. Like, over the last 18 months, I've done about 5 videos, and everyone's been proven right. He won't leave, he won't leave, he won't leave. They're confident that there's a contract going to happen. And that was 2 weeks ago. So there's a lot of rumours about Paul Pogba. And I think what you can take from this, even if you don't want to jump and go, he's definitely going to sign it. But what you can take from this, and you can trust me on this, there are definitely discussions ongoing. And there is definitely a willingness from Pogba to sign the contract. So, which means there's definitely been a change of course in relation to what Paul Pogba wants to do. Because there's no doubt a year ago he wanted to leave the club. There's no doubt at Christmas Raiola wanted him to go to Real Madrid. But now the world has changed. You know, Kai Havertz would never have been going to Chelsea. Timo Werner would never have been going to Chelsea. The fact that the clubs they want to go to can't afford them means that they still want to make the move, and they go, oh, actually, and I'm not dismissing Chelsea here. I'm just saying Chelsea wouldn't have got Havertz and Werner if Real Madrid and Bayern Munich and Liverpool had money. They don't have the money. Chelsea do, and Havertz suddenly looks at Chelsea and goes, actually, I quite like that project. I will go there. And United can be in that situation with Paul Pogba. Real Madrid, PSG, Juventus, they can't get Pogba. So Pogba sat there going, you know what? I quite like this project at United. I like it here. I like what they're doing. I want to commit my future. Circumstances change. And I see people on Twitter today saying, oh, I don't want Pogba signing a 5-year contract. He's done quite well recently, but he was crap against Southampton. He's still inconsistent. We don't want him. And I think, you know what? That's an opinion. But this is Paul Pogba. He can do things other people can't do. Yes, there's always been an issue about consistency, but he's not going to play superbly every game. Our player of the year is Aaron Wan-Bissaka. He's been superb from day one. The last 2 games, he's been very poor. Do we need a new right back? No. Look at Van Dijk last night. Makes a stupid error. Alisson makes a stupid error. Arsenal score 2 goals off 2 shots and do sod all else apart from park the bus. Deservedly win a game of football, but win it because of 2 mistakes by the world's best centre-back and one of the world's best goalkeepers. Do Liverpool need a new goalkeeper and a centre-back? No. Mistakes happen. People have inconsistent performances. I think judging Paul Pogba on the last 3 years and comparing it to what happened against Southampton is a different world. It is a different world. And actually, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer actually said in his press conference that Paul Pogba was a bit of a doubt for the Southampton game, which maybe explain why he had to come off after an hour. So look, if you're saying to me Paul Pogba's close to signing this contract, I'm like, this is massive. Because this is a player. In my head, I've been thinking, and I'm sure you feel the same. In my head, I've been working to the rule that Paul Pogba was going to leave next summer, 100%. So we were going to get Pogba for another year, and he's going to go. So you're not really building a team because you're going to have to replace a massive player in a year's time. I've always thought that would happen. If that doesn't happen, United are 2 steps ahead of where they would be in a year because they are building a team, but they're also not going to lose one of their most significant players. So they can start to look at centre-back and everything, which we'll talk about. So, look, I'm very happy about this news. I think it's good. And as Sean Turner says, I think we always know he wasn't the problem. He's got players around him now that will make a big difference when it comes to Pogba. And I certainly wouldn't be one of those people that are doubting this signing of him signing a new contract at United. And let's not forget, a 5-year deal, a 3-year deal, it takes him to 30 years of age or beyond. Paul Pogba leaving Man United at 30 might be something that we as fans think is a good thing anyway, because we've had his best years. So I think this is massive, massive news if we can do it. Sean Turner says, apart from Kevin De Bruyne, there isn't a better centre midfielder in the league, maybe in Europe. I want him to sign if he's 100% committed to United. And I think that's the big thing as well. Is he committed to Manchester United? Because if he's committed to Manchester United, then you are building something with Paul Pogba. So very, very good news. Philip Hughes says, we need to keep Pogba to win the league in recent future. End of. No one is going to be consistent every match. Exactly. I agree with that. So if you're tuning in a little bit late, I don't know why you are, because we're live at 10 o'clock every morning, but more developments around Paul Pogba, a real confidence that he will sign a new contract and it could be announced very soon. And that would be significant from Manchester United as well. That would be reason for applause, because we've signed Matic onto a 3-year contract, and I thought that's a bit weird. We don't normally get contracts signed early. And if we are also working on a contract for Paul Pogba, and again, it makes sense to do it before the transfer window opens, because then you can work on transfers. I think if Pogba's going to sign a new contract as well, and some people might not think of it like this, but if Pogba signs a new contract, that to me suggests that he's looking at this project and going, I like it. Paul Pogba's not the sort of player who's like Alexis Sanchez going to go, oh, United are going to pay me a little bit more money, I'm going to stay here. He's going to look at the project, and if United are having discussions with Pogba and saying, we're getting Sancho, we're going to get a centre-back, we're going to get another midfielder, we're going to keep this nucleus together, we're building to win the title over the next couple of years, then that will be a big factor. So if Pogba signs, it's all good. It's all good. Connor Kerr says, can you talk about Thiago? So Thiago is a player who plays for Bayern Munich. I spoke about him a little bit over the last couple of days. There is a development around this, that Bayern Munich want £36 million. Now, I don't think Manchester United are in for Thiago. I'm going to say what I said about Van der Beek. You can get excited about it, do what you like with it, but I don't think we're in for Thiago. I really don't. He's 29 years of age, he's very injury prone, and he doesn't fit the profile of what Manchester United want. Manchester United want players that are going to come to the club of a certain age and develop further, who show a lot of talent. Thiago is going to come to Manchester United at 29, injury prone, with nothing to prove, for a bit of a good paycheck, to play in the world's best league. He is not. Thiago suits Liverpool. Thiago suits Man City. He suits an established team that can give them a little bit something that maybe they haven't got. He doesn't suit a side that's trying to close the gap on the established sides, that needs hunger, consistency. Is Thiago hungry? Maybe. Is he going to be consistent? Not with that injury record. Is he worth £36 million at 29 when you can get Van der Beek or Jack Grealish for around the same price? Of course he's not. So Manchester United and Thiago for me is just a total and utter red herring. I don't know why. Maybe it's because, well, at 36 million, I imagine Bayern Munich are trying to drive the price up, and Bayern Munich want to drive the price up because they've got to pay some fees themselves for people like Leroy Sané, haven't they? So if it's a one-horse race for Thiago and Liverpool can't pay. Oh, I think I've just figured it out live on air. Liverpool can't afford 36 million for Thiago because they couldn't afford 49 million for Werner, who's in his early 20s. So Liverpool can't afford 36 million. So I think what you've got here is Manchester United being used again by the German press and everybody else to try and boost the price up to, generate a little bit of interest. And what generates a little bit more interest than using Manchester United? So I just think we're being used. He doesn't fit with what we're going. I'd be very surprised if we go for him. Much the same as I don't think we're in for Van der Beek. Welcome to Caleb Chisholm and welcome to Jade Thomas, latest members of United Stand Members Club, and Rodney Monaduafa. Thank you very much for joining there. Appreciate that. And Sean also says, if Pogba does sign, I think we should all get excited about the transfer window because he will want to know we're going to invest in a challenge. Spot on. So what I just said as well. So yeah, he's spot on. Mark, who's the best ideal centre-back to pair with Harry? Says Josiah. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm quite liking the super chats in the comments because you are directing things I need to talk about anyway. I've got quite a lot to talk about this morning, but we'll talk about the centre-back now. Angie S says, what's your take with Sancho and a midfielder as a priority? Do you think we will go for a centre-back or get a right-back with Delo set to leave? And Louis25 says, have you heard the High Performance podcast with Ollie as the guest? It's a good listen. Everyone should check it out. I've listened to about half of it, Louis25, because I was talking about it the other day, how he was talking about some of the social media voices just want to be negative and loud. And people were laughing. People were trying to say it's me. I've not been negative about United since Bruno came in, so he's not talking about me. But it is a good podcast. On the centre-back issue, just to go back a step, there is, well, I think there's a general acceptance. And welcome to Dylan O'Connor, latest member of the club. You can join by clicking the members button. Remember, we don't do Patreon or anything like that. So if you want to support the community and the channel, you can just join and become a member. But the situation with the centre-back is Koulibaly, 60 to 65 million, probably 65 million, you will get Koulibaly. Do United have 65 million for a centre-back? I don't think we do. But if you wanted a player like that, then Koulibaly would probably be the person to go for. And I'm sure someone like Said would like to see him. Look, Koulibaly and Lindelof, or Koulibaly and Harry Maguire, it's a very good centre-back partnership. I don't think Koulibaly fits the profile of what Manchester United want. He's too expensive for his age, and he's never played in the Premier League. So he's a very good centre-back, and I think if we'd got him a couple of years ago, we would have had one of the world's best centre-backs. But at his age and his price, I think he'll end up staying at Napoli. As for Delot and a replacement right-back, well, look, Brandon Williams can play right-back. He can also play left-back. Ethan Laird's coming through. He could play at right-back. Fosu Mensah is still at the club. He could play at right-back. So Delot, to me, is a shame, but I don't see his path to the first team. And I also do see him as an asset where you could get a bit of money for him. I personally think Jose Mourinho would like him at Spurs if he could raise the money. I think Mourinho would like him at Spurs, and I think he'd be a good signing for somebody. But we've got Aaron Wan-Bissaka. You can't keep a player like Delot who wants to play first team football and thinks he can be one of the world's best right backs. You can't play him if you've already got one of the world's best right backs. So Delot, to me, it's a sad situation, but it's also an opportunity to make a bit of money to put it into the transfer fund. We need Upamecano, says the nose that knows. I quite like Kyoto at Leipzig just as much as Upamecano. And I just found out that United has 48 hours less rest than Chelsea on the FA Cup on Sunday. A bit unfair, says per Eric Klassen. So yeah, if you're joining in a little bit late, smash a like on the video, please. Bottom right-hand corner to do that. Let's see if we can get 1,000 likes while we are live. But I'm going to talk about some of Ollie's comments last night that came out of the embargoed section of the press conference, which you always get with United. Thank you to James Lappage, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. But the headline today is Paul Pogba. Now, I was going to be talking about Paul Pogba in relation to the fact that Ollie said that he had a little bit of a knock ahead of the Southampton game and was a bit of a doubt. Maybe that's why he didn't play well. Maybe that's why he came off after an hour. But also news coming out that Manchester United are close to signing a 5-year deal with Paul Pogba, and this should be announced by the end of the season, which is only a couple of weeks away. This fits in with what we've been talking about on this channel, what a few people are talking about now, that this Pogba contract could be a lot closer than anybody really ever thought a few weeks ago. Which to me, look, I'm very excited about today. If you're a Manchester United fan, you're waking up this morning or you're in your afternoon or you're in bed or whatever, this is what it's all about, isn't it? Today, Crystal Palace, massive, massive game. Only 3 games left to go. The pressure's on. We've got to win. Leicester are playing Sheffield United just before us. It's exciting. Our next league game next week against West Ham, we play before Chelsea play Liverpool as well, so we can put the pressure on them. This is what you support Manchester United for. I've got a buzz. I feel excited. I've got butterflies. I've got goosebumps. It's exciting. And added to that excitement is the prospect of Paul Pogba signing a new contract. This is a player that I never thought was going to be staying at this club long term. And if we keep Paul Pogba at the club, look, he may be inconsistent. He may have a bad game every now and again, but he's still one of the world's best midfielders. And Manchester United would be keeping a player like that. I don't get anybody who says, I don't want Pogba to stay. Don't want Pogba. It's not like we're signing him to stay. Yeah, his wages will be expensive, but we pay Alexis Sanchez 400 grand a week. Get rid of Sanchez and just give Pogba the wages. And then you've still got the money left from Pogba's previous wages. So United can afford these wages for Pogba. You're not having to pay a transfer fee or anything like that. If Pogba goes, what are you going to do? Oh, let's get Declan Rice. I mean, Paul Pogba's one of the best midfielders in the world. It's a massive, massive boost to the club if we can sign him. A bit of future planning for centre-back. We should loan Mengi to the Dutch League for next season. De Ligt was able to thrive there at 19. Maybe he can as well and fast-track his way into the United first team, says Matt. But yeah, look, today's a massive game, and there was a previous point there which Ole Gunnar Solskjaer spoke about in the embargoed section. And welcome to Sarabdeep Singh Gabir, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. Welcome, pal. Ollie was saying that before lockdown, or during lockdown, before football came back, they were talking about fair scheduling. That hasn't happened. It's fixture congestion that's very unfair on Manchester United. And it is unfair because this is not like, this can happen in the normal season because it's hard to be fluid. It just happens. But this was scheduled a few weeks ago. They had 3 months to sort this scheduling out. And Manchester United are playing on a Thursday, and then we're playing on Sunday, and then we're playing on Wednesday. Whereas Chelsea played on Tuesday, and then they don't play till Sunday. So Chelsea have got 2 days extra rest ahead of this Chelsea semi-final on the weekend. But I think, for me, the way to approach that, and I think Ollie will do it, maybe Ollie won't do it, because we know what Ollie's like. He doesn't like resting players. I mean, look, that's a mistake that he needs to learn from before lockdown, where, people are playing every single game and you start picking up injuries. But the reality is, Crystal Palace tonight is more important than the Chelsea FA Cup semi-final, and so is West Ham. So you pick your best team tonight. If you've got knocks, if you've got fatigue, you don't play those players against Chelsea, and they play against West Ham. And Manchester United have got a big squad. And if Scott McTominay and Fred and Mata and Agallo and Dan James loses the game against Chelsea, then it's only more evidence that we need a better squad. I would not be playing best team tonight, best team against Chelsea, best team against West Ham. That's 3 games in 6 days. 3 big games in 6 days. You don't even do that in a World Cup. So Manchester United, I don't feel that we can do that. We've got to go with our strong team tonight, and he's going to have to rest players against Chelsea. And that will disappoint Ollie, because he wants to obviously win every game, and I think he knows that if he could put a strong team out against Chelsea, he probably could beat them. But we're not going to be in a position to do that, I don't think. So we're going to have to go with what we've got. He also spoke about the fact that Mason Greenwood is a bit of a doubt for this game as well, which is disappointing. Mason Greenwood obviously took a bad knock to the ankle from Ramu in the Southampton game. We know that Luke Shaw had to come off for a knock to the ankle, so both those players suffering with swelling. I've got a funny feeling Greenwood won't start tonight, and I don't know that that's necessarily just because of injury. I think it might just be a game where he's got a bit of a knock, drop him onto the bench, because maybe we don't want to become too reliant on Mason Greenwood. He's a fantastic player and he can be anything he wants to be. But I think against Southampton, we saw a performance that was quite quiet. He worked really hard, but we couldn't get him in the game. So Mason Greenwood at his age, should he be playing every week, and should we be expecting a worldie from Greenwood every week? I think this might be the perfect game to just take him out of the game, drop him onto the bench, especially if he's got a bit of a knock, and then maybe use him in the last 20 minutes if we need to. And I think Ollie will do that, because I think it's about nurturing the talent and not being over-reliant on the talent. And look, who do you play if Mason Greenwood doesn't play? Look, you could put Agallo in and move Martial to the left and Rashford to the right. I don't like that. For me, I'd probably play Dan James. Does Dan James suit Crystal Palace, who are going to play a deep line? Probably not. So, I've probably talked myself back into I want Mason Greenwood to play, but I've got a funny feeling he might not play tonight. But I don't think it will suit a game like Dan James. Would you put Pereira out on the right? I mean, this is the problem, isn't it? If you don't play Greenwood, if you don't play Bruno, if you don't play Martial, if you don't play Pogba, it's such a big drop-off to the bench. So, yeah, it is interesting to see how it's going to work. But look, I'm massively excited about the game today. I'm not going to do any big gestures about we finished the day in third. We can't finish the day in third. We could win and still be fifth, because if Leicester win, their goal difference is probably still going to keep us ahead, so keep us in fifth. But what we must do today is win. It's not actually over. If we draw or lose, it's not actually over, because Leicester can only go 3 points ahead of us tonight. So if we lost to Palace, Leicester's goal difference would be better. That would make it very hard for us. If we drew with Palace and Leicester win, they'd only be 2 points ahead of us. So we'd still, if we beat West Ham and we beat Leicester, we'd go above them. But look, we can't be doing that. I think we'd wake up in about 5 days' time and say, look, it's not over. But if we draw or we lose tonight, I think the meltdown will be very, very big. Understandably, we've got to win. We've got to win. It has a feel of a cup final now for Manchester United. It's been a long time that we've had exciting games at the end of the season, really. And last year we blew it, didn't we? The year before with Mourinho, we were always comfortably in second. So this is probably one of the most exciting ends to a season we've had in years, really. And it's a massively exciting game tonight. We should win it. My prediction, I think, was 2-1. And look, it's going to be tense. It's going to be really tense. And I don't want to see a diamond formation, Van de Candy. I mean, that's a great point from Van de Candy. Does anybody want to see a formation change tonight? I bloody do not. I don't want to see diamonds. I don't want to see back fives. I don't want to see anything like that. I love the formation since lockdown. It works really well for us. You've got Matic patrolling, holding, Pogba a little bit more advanced, Bruno more advanced, the front three interchanging. It's the formation. And we've not spoken about this enough, actually. We've spoken about the formation a lot this season, but since lockdown, we've not spoke about it at all, really, because he's gone back to the formation that he sort of had at the start when he first came in. I don't want to see a change to that formation at all. Thiago is an experienced centre defensive midfield player. 36 games for Bayern this season and started every Champions League game this season. Could be a great buy for United and cheap, says the mystery man. Well, 36 million for a 29-year-old isn't cheap, and he's very injury prone, so that would be my answer to that. Pratic says, sell Jones, Smalling, Rojo, Sanchez, Lingard, Mata and raise 80 million and buy Sancho, Skriniar and Grealish. 180 million Delo plus cash for Skriniar. I think a lot of people would agree with you, Pratic, but I also think that you are living in a fantasy world if you think that Manchester United can do that. If Man United transfers Sancho, what will happen to Greenwood? Oh, God. Why do I always get drawn in to that comment? And it's not Jurkis 20's fault, but I've been answering this question now for what feels like since birth. What if we buy Sancho? What happens to Greenwood or Martial or Rashford? Oh, I don't want it to happen. Like, I don't get this mentality. I do not get it. I can't understand it. If we buy Grealish, what happens to Pogba or Bruno? We've got a decent player on the bloody bench. That's what happens. You cannot be Pogba FC, Martial FC, Greenwood FC, Rashford FC, Bruno FC. You can't be. You've got to be Man United FC. That's the club you support. So you cannot do, oh, I don't want Sancho in case Greenwood don't get on game time. You know, you can't do that. You can't be that, because that's being more focused on an individual than the actual club. The evidence is there over the last few weeks. We take one of our good players off and we drop off a cliff. Like, look at the last half an hour of every game we've played over the last few weeks. When we've made the subs, the opposition team has got better and we've got worse. We've got a very good first 11 when they play well. We haven't got a very good bench in an attacking sense. So if you buy Jadon Sancho, that automatically means either Sancho, Greenwood, Martial or Rashford are on the bench. Great! You've got a bloody brilliant player on the bench. If you buy Grealish, that means probably Grealish is on the bench. So if Bruno comes off, you bring Grealish. You buy Grealish and Sancho, you automatically strengthen your bench massively. So I couldn't give two hoots what happens to Greenwood if we sign Sancho. This is about squad depth, and I'll keep talking and talking about it. Over the years, we've had people like Berbatov, Solskjaer on the bench, Louis Zaha. You know, we've had real quality on the bench. You could name name after name after name, and that's what United lack at the moment. As an attacking side, we don't have quality on the bench. If you take Martial or Rashford off, you bring on Agallo or Dan James. They're good, honest professionals, but they're not the quality you need if you want to win a title. So that's what happens with that. Mata would be perfect for the game against the slow left backs, says Connor Kurt. Well, Van Aanholt's not slow, unfortunately, so I don't think Mata. And Van Aanholt likes to get forward. I mean, you've just identified a very good area that Manchester United need to address tonight, which is that Van Aanholt is probably one of Palace's most attacking threats. So whoever plays on that right-hand side, maybe it will be Dan James to do, because Dan James does put a shift in defensively, but we are up against, I wouldn't say he's a brilliant left back, but he's a good player in that Palace side. John Underwood says, the fact that we're talking about more creative quality from the bench shows progress as a team. We didn't think about that as much before. Good point. Thanks for the super chat. And Ali Romano says, hey Mark, I think my question got lost with the questions. What's your take on comments made by Emilio Alvarez on De Gea? Well, I did speak about this a couple of days ago. So Emilio Alvarez used to be David De Gea's goalkeeping coach, and he's basically come out publicly saying that he felt a bit betrayed by De Gea because he didn't, he was working on his contract with him and then De Gea went behind his back. It doesn't look good on De Gea, but look, in the workplace, people fall out and leave all the time. Are we going to go, oh, look, what most people will think Emilio Alvarez starred in Young Guns 2. Like, they won't know who he was. He was our goalkeeping coach for David De Gea. And that's Emilio Estevez I'm talking about. But realistically, ex-coach of United slates current Man United goalkeeper. David De Gea's our goalkeeper. With all due respect to Emilio, and he might be telling the truth, you don't know why De Gea decided not to tell him about the contract. You just don't know. There's always, as I say in life, there's always two sides to a story. And until David De Gea comes out and says what his side of the story, then you shouldn't be making your mind up, should you? Abdul says the goalkeeping coach is waffling. My prediction for tonight, Jeff Shreves, is 2-1. I'm hoping I'm going to be wrong. I've gone a little bit conservative, mainly because I lost a little bit of trust in the team on Monday. I think we all did. I didn't see that result against Southampton, but what I did see is that we can have a game where over half of our players don't perform well. And if you have a game tonight where over half of our players don't... The reason we didn't beat Southampton is that the only players on the pitch who played really well were Martial, Luke Shaw and Rashford. They were the only three players that played well, really well. Everybody else played below average to average. And if you've only got 3 out of your 11 players playing well, you're not going to win a game. I think United need... if 7 of our players play well tonight, we'll win. If 6 play, we might win. If 5 of them only play well, you're starting to wander into draw territory again. So the players need to turn up tonight. The only reason I'm not... I think we'll win, but the only reason I'm not saying 3-0 is because they showed against Southampton that you can have a Man United performance where Bruno and Pogba don't play well. And if that happens, you might struggle a little bit. But we still created the chances to win that game. We still made a big mistake at the end of the game to draw it. And against Crystal Palace, they're a different opposition. I think against Palace, what we've got to be scared of is not the press, because they won't do that. It's the break. The pace on the break. If they can get 2v2 with Lindelof and Maguire, do you want Zaha running at those two? No, you don't. So that's what we've got to be a little bit careful of. But I think we'll win. I do. I think we'll win. Please smash a like on the video if you're watching, and make sure you subscribe if you're new. Top right hand corner. We're on that road to 750,000, which would be nice to hit on the watch along tonight. Remember, we will be live tonight from around 7:15 with the team news. I'm also doing a Mark Goldbridge That's Football watch along for Sheffield United versus Leicester at 6 o'clock. So I will be on that channel at 6 o'clock, and then at half time we'll shift over here for the team news, and I'll keep the Sheffield United Leicester game on as well. So lots going on tonight. Looking forward to it. Going by what I saw against Southampton, I think it's going to be a scrappy win, says Darth Maul deserved better. I think, as Sir Alex Ferguson said, I think we're going to get some squeaky bum time over the next 3 weeks. Palace tonight, West Ham next week, and Leicester. I don't think we're just going to roll up and beat them all 3-0. I hope we do. We can have a sing-song and everything. I really hope that that's what's going to happen. But I think there's going to be some of this tonight, watching the screen, panicking. And also, there's a lot of bad things in our head at the moment. If we're winning 2-1 with 5 minutes to go, we saw what happened to Southampton. So, there's a little bit of drop in confidence, but that's down on the players. The players have got to get that confidence back. Tonight's a significant result. And West Ham, look, I can't say to you if we win tonight, we're going to get top 4, because West Ham, if they don't beat Watford tomorrow night, West Ham could still be fighting for survival themselves. Sort of need West Ham to beat Watford tomorrow night, because then I think they're safe. If they don't, then that West Ham United game is probably harder than tonight. It is, but you've got to jump the hurdle in front of you first. Aston Villa beat Palace rather convincingly. We have to win, says Denny. Yeah, I mean, Palace, we've said it before. Crystal Palace have lost their last 5 games in a row. They've conceded 13 goals in 5 games. They've only scored 2 goals. They're not going to get relegated. They're going to be in the sort of mid to lower part of the Premier League. But they won't want to lose 6 games in a row either. They for them, I think they'd love a 0-0. They'd love a 0-0 tonight. The mystery man says Thiago is over his injuries and would be a good alternative to Matic, who can't play 60 games, would cost 20 million up front with add-ons maybe. But how can you say he's over his injuries? He's had nearly 15 injuries in the last 4 years, and he's 29. You don't get over your injuries. As somebody who has played football most of their life and is now, pretty much retired, you don't get over your injuries in your late 20s. It's fatigue. It's wear and tear. You don't suddenly get a new lease of life. He will always be injury prone now. And 20 million plus add-ons for a 29-year-old. What you playing add-ons? Why would you ever pay add-ons for a 29-year-old? You don't do that. It's a crap deal, Thiago. We won't do it. I don't know why people are even thinking about it. We won't sign Thiago. And it's a bad deal. It's a bad deal. It's got Schweinsteiger written all over it. Former great player from Bayern Munich who is coming to our club because they don't want him anymore. And we get all excited about the name and we don't think about injury record, age and what they actually offer us. And I fell into the Schweinsteiger trap, one of my favourite players. I remember it being announced. I was so excited and it turned into a bad deal. So I don't look, if we get Thiago, we get Thiago, but I'll be absolutely surprised if we did it. I really, really would. What's up with the hair? I don't know. It's gone a little bit. The side parting's dropping down a bit, isn't it? Okay, look, we're live again tonight at 7:15 with the team news. You can join me on Mark Goldbridge, That's Football at 6 for Chelsea, for Sheffield United versus Leicester. Smash a like. Positive news about POGBA. I am nervous. I am excited. I can't wait for the watch along. Can't wait for the game. I'm hoping we come out of today with Sheffield United taking something from Leicester and us beating Palace, because then we'll be in fourth and then we can relax a little bit. Enjoy the FA Cup and then go again against West Ham. We need competition for places, says Ryan Glade Richards. You think Fred wakes up in the morning? Oh, well, I'm a bench player. No, it raises all players' game. Hashtag not you, Sanchez. Nice one, Ryan. All right, thanks everyone for watching. I'll speak to you all later.